I guess it's dangerous. At the same time, it's exciting, and you really your level of focus and the level of intensity is much greater than some of the other calls that you go to. It's a very different mindset, especially when you have to go in. I'm only smiling because I remember something funny that somebody once said about that. It was a new fireman, and he asked if the fire's coming out all the windows and the building is raging, we still have to go in? And the lieutenant said, yeah. I grew up in Comac. My family had moved out from Queens after my brother Tommy was born. My father worked at Sperry. He was an engineer. He's a very brilliant man. Tough man to grow up under. They had 7 children originally, 5 boys, 2 girls. My mother passed away when I was 13, and my father remarried, and I have 2 stepbrothers, Bill and Jim. That's what I was saying before. It's gotten me used to being part of a family like these guys here. That's why it was an easy adjustment for me. Believe it or not, I actually didn't plan on becoming a firefighter. My oldest brother was a firefighter, and I had a business with my brother Tom. We were landscaping. We were doing pretty well for a while, and my oldest brother Bob said, "Well, take the test. It just gives you another option. When they call you, you'll see where you are at that point." So we wound up getting hired the same year, 1987. He got hired in January. I got hired in July. I hadn't planned on it originally, but it was probably the best thing I ever did. You start out as a probationary firefighter, and then you work your way through levels from 5th grade, 4th grade, 3rd grade. Each year, successive year, when you first get on. After your 5th year, you become a 1st grade firefighter. I did have the title of fire marshal for about 4 years. I had gotten promoted, but when there were a lot of budget cutbacks, I stepped down from that position and came back to my firehouse. Although we go out together, we have specifically assigned jobs at each fire, and everybody has to be where they're supposed to be in order for the operation to run smoothly. Actually, my very first fire, I remember that. That was pretty serious. That was another one of those moments. We went into a room, and I was behind a senior firefighter who had the line, and in the center of the ceiling by a light fixture there was a little flame. And he said, "Okay, and he's explaining to me what he's doing, and everything is very calm and very casual. To me, it's all still a big deal because I'm staring, wide-eyed, and I don't really know what to make of anything. It all seems like chaos to me." And he opened up the hose line, and as soon as it hit that fire, the entire ceiling came down on our heads, and it was the top floor, the entire cockloft was engulfed in flames. The fire had gone up from the apartment next door and had gone across the whole top of the building. And all 4 corners of that room, it was solid orange, 3 feet of fire from where that ceiling was to the roof. I mean, he turned back at me and said, "Back out." I mean, he'd have to tell me something like that twice. He's the senior guy, and I couldn't believe that. We got back out, and then he started hitting the hose line. We had to give a report to the chief. There's fire in the cockloft. Now we have to stop it from going from building to building now and traveling across. And when we got the fire out, and it seemed very chaotic to me. And a lot of times, I guess they call it controlled chaos when you're in a fire because there's so many unknown variables, so many things that can happen. I remember thinking, "Oh my God, does this happen every time?" There was another scene just like that, where a fireman went through a hole in front of me, and I just happened to be the guy standing there. I couldn't find his fire. It was in a Columbia dorm. It was a duplex, and we couldn't find the fire for almost 10 minutes. It was raging so long on the 2nd floor of a duplex and the floor below us. It actually wound up burning through the floor, and this guy fell into the floor, and he yelled something, and you're not even thinking. We're still searching, so I went and I grabbed him and I pulled him out of the hole. And when I pulled him out of the hole that his butt made in the floor, a blue flame about 6 feet high came right out directly out of the hole where he had fallen in, which was kind of humorous, but not for him. It was a serious moment for him, but we laughed about it later. But that's how we found the fire. He found it with his backside. I know people say when I'm in some kind of dangerous situation, all I can think of was my family. I don't think you really have time for that. You're concentrating on the job that you have. Probably the only time I did was on 9/11, when the towers came down and I was separated from my partner. I was a marshal at the time, and I wound up in front of Trinity Church because I was on the corner of the North Tower when it came down, the first tower. And I got to the end of the block and I was up against the fence. I had my back up against the fence. The gates were locked, so I couldn't get into the church building itself. And then when we engulfed in the smoke, when I was engulfed in the smoke, I pretty much just walked with my jacket closed. I walked through the cloud, whatever it was, disintegrated material. Some woman walked with me for a while. She held onto my coat and we got across Park Row. And I remember when I finally got into a building there, I saw the entrance to a building. Had to be 2 or 3 feet away from it by the time, when I saw it was right in front of me. And somebody was inside and they called me in. And at that time, that was the first time I thought about my family while working like that. After that situation, the first thing I think of was to call my home and tell them that I was fine, that I made it, that I was alive, because I knew that a lot of people weren't. We had already lost a lot of guys, and that was the second tower hadn't even come down yet. Now, I've been here long enough, and I started here actually, and then I came back here. I know the area, so if I hear an address, I'll say, okay, that's this building, and I know, and now already I have an image of the building in my head, rather than just thinking about my tools and focusing on my little piece of the world. I can see a much bigger picture when I'm going to a call.